Hi, I'm Darrian. This is Simon, my business partner, visionary. Something that's interesting here is he's CDMD number 507. I'm number 508. How the heck did that happen, right? It's like we designed that. So I went and said, okay, I'm going to submit my stuff now. All right, Simon, now it's your turn, or the other way around. Simon, he submitted his stuff, then I submitted my stuff. No, that's not the way it was. He submitted his stuff about a year before I submitted my stuff.
Actually, it was more than that. Like
more than a year. So, you know, depending on the process and who's evaluating and what have you, you know, the time it takes is very different. We are just one number apart, but our journeys were over a year apart. It's pretty interesting. I just thought I'd mention that. So, what about the cloud? Faster time to market, scalability and flexibility, cost savings, better collaboration, advanced security, and I'm not going to lose my data. This sounds pretty good.
And this is according to Google, so you know it must be true.
Yes, everything Google says is definitely true. Faster time to market. I can spin up new instances or retire them in seconds. My developers can develop faster. Yeah, I'm sold.
What I really want to know is what that has to do with the cloud. See this little video I'm playing on the right? That's me spinning up an instance in seconds, and it has nothing to do with the cloud. That is inside an RxG that's like in my house, on the edge, on the internet, on a public IP. And I can do it even faster than that if I use a template if I want to. So this concept, it has nothing to do with that. And what's really funnier about this is that the reason why we need this for cloud stuff is because the cloud guys came up with all sorts of crazy ways to build things that make things really hard so that you have to do this. So let's come up with all sorts of insane ways to build software, and then I have a solution. I will sell you a solution to fix the problem. This is kind of like the American medical system, right? It's like, oh, you got a problem. I know what, I'll give you a drug, which causes you a side effect, which I'll give you another drug, which causes a side effect. Well, I'll give you another drug, right? That's basically what's going on here. It's crazy. It has nothing to do with that.
Well, I can still quickly scale my resources and storage to meet my business needs, and I don't have to manage my own infrastructure. I don't have to invest in my own physical infrastructure. That sounds pretty good.
So, have you bought a computer recently? Have you noticed that that's probably one of the few things that beats inflation? The rate at which you can get high performance stuff, the cost of that is actually rapidly falling. Like right now, you know, $1,000, $3,000, $5,000, something like that will get you something that just a year or two ago it would be impossible to get, right? For anything remotely like that price. And a few years before that, you couldn't even imagine it. And so what you're saying is that instead of paying that reasonable price, which is falling, I'm going to rent it and pay for it over and over and over again. And it's a trade-off, right? And so it is true you don't have to buy it, but you're just renting it. And it might be better to just buy it.
But if I'm using the cloud, or if I buy my own infrastructure, there's going to be a bunch of CPUs sitting on my server that I'm not even using. What's the point in that?
Right. And you know, it is true that you only pay for what you use, but you know, the categories of what you use are extensive. And beyond that, we're going to make sure that what you pay is incredibly painful, because that's basically the cloud. Whatever it is that you think that you're going to pay, it's like 10 times that. And the fact of the matter is that any kinds of strange cost savings you may think when you start out, once you get a little bit bigger, that is going to screw you. If you're not familiar with DHH, he's kind of a luminary in the software world, and he tells the story, you should look it up if you haven't seen it, where his small company was spending something crazy, like $500,000 a year. And he actually pulled all of his stuff out of the cloud as of, I think, a month or two ago. And this is really something that I think you're going to see is happening more and more.
All right. Well, I mean, if my resources in the cloud, I can at least access my data anywhere I am, anytime I might need it.
This is like unbelievable. I'm just going to leave this right here. What the hell are you talking about? The definition of a network means that I can access my stuff if I'm on the network. What does that have to do with it being on the cloud? You're either on the network with the data on the network somewhere, or you're not. Where that data is not material at all, right? We actually have a funny story. I got stuck, so it's not so funny for me, but he tells it great.
Oh yeah. So we have a company 2020 Model X. We actually have 3 of those. Don't know why we bought 3. Because it was cool.
Because 3 is better than 2.
Because 3 is more than twice as good as 2, yeah. Well, these Teslas have there's a Tesla app, and you can remotely control and gain access to your Tesla through the app and start driving your vehicle. No key necessary. This sounds great. So we do this, and we drive around for a while. Well, little did we know that during that time, the Tesla cloud had a problem, and it went down. We didn't know this. We went and pulled up to a casino. We stopped to go pick up some colleagues. They weren't ready yet, so we left the car, and it turned off. Sat in the lobby, and the car was sitting out in front of the hotel. Everybody came, and we were like, all right, app, start up car. Nope. My data was not where I needed it at that time.
It was in the cloud, and it wasn't connected.
In the cloud, but I didn't have it. The data I needed was the ability to start my car. So we had to go Uber back to the hotel to go get the key, Uber back to where the car was, and then finally we could start the car. Well, Tesla doesn't do it that way anymore. The remote key is now Bluetooth directly to the car on your phone. You just teach the car that your phone is a valid key. So you don't have this problem. It's not in the cloud.
It's on the edge, right? Edge computing. Who would have thought?
Okay, well, the cloud is definitely more secure.
Right. So have you ever tried to do cloud security? I'm just curious. Because this is one of the many diagrams you have to go through. An official Google diagram. Oh, and there's more. Oh, and there's more. Oh, and there's more. Oh, and there's more. So to do anything in the cloud with respect to cloud security, it is like this massive craziness that you have to learn. And yes, it's there, but it's not any better or any worse than having to learn these things on the edge. And that's just a simple truth. There is one key difference, though. You will pay for it over and over and over and over again, right? That's kind of the name of the cloud.
Well, I mean, at least I didn't have to make all those slides.
That's true. It's not the only thing you got. Someone else made it for you.
Well, if I store my data in the cloud, then I'm not going to lose it, right? My server at my data center might die, and I'll lose my data.
Yeah, you ever see any of these news, right? This happens all the time, and it even happened to us. We don't even use the cloud that much at RGNets, right? But we're going to tell you a few stories. One of these is outrageous. So we started by using a little cloud thing, right? And then there was a bug that they introduced into Google Cloud. Google Cloud introduced a bug on their own into the cloud that prevented us from being able to upgrade our own software or change our own software. And this affected thousands of users. And they said, oh, well, we opened a support ticket and we're like, fix this. And they're like, nah, we're not going to fix it. We'll fix it when we get to it. But I'll tell you what you can do to fix it. Upgrade your account. I kid you not, that is what they told us. Right? So not only do you get to pay over and over and over again, where they can randomly do whatever it is they want to you get to pay for the privilege of fixing it. Right? And when we look about how much we spend a year, about 20K, we could do the same with redundancy for like $3,500 plus a server, which is super affordable. Right? Here's a second kind of crazy piece of experience. You go and you buy a wireless controller. You're all WLPC, this is WLAN, right? WLAN people. And then don't you think that if you buy a controller, you should be able to monitor the controller? Can you imagine going and buying a controller and then being like, I can't read the data out of it? What the hell is the point of the controller? Well, you do this, and you know what happens? They say you can do that 1,000 times per day. And we do that all the time. In fact, these are actual screenshots of what we're doing, and you can see that completely blows up, right? And so you go and you deploy this stuff, and then you can't even use it.
Well, I mean, we've got more stories, but we're out of time. So thank you.
Thank you for your attention.